first thing I want to comment on, the embroidery design that I used only comes with the Altair and the Meridian. That being said, if you have a Destiny or a Solaris or any other embroidery machine with IQ Designer, you can use any embroidery design you want instead of the one I chose. I have uploaded the finished file in PES format. I'm not uploading nothing other than that. That way we're all on the same page, okay? And I'm sorry for the confusion I caused last week, but here we are. So, to get started, the upper left corner for the UL block happens like this. First, we're going to touch our settings menu, and we're going to go to page 7. On the Altair, it's the 7. And you want to select your frame size, 9.5 by 9.5. And this time, we're also going to select the grid, 1-inch grids, okay? And you'll see why this is important momentarily, okay? Then I'm just going to select, okay, so 9.5 on frame size, 1 inch on the grid, and hit OK. Now I'm going to go into embroidery, and this design is in the number 2 menu right up here. Okay, we'll let that load, and then it's in category 3, and if we just scroll our screen up, it's design 021 right here. This is the one that I used. Isn't it pretty? I just really like this one, and I thought this one would go well with what we've already done because it has some smaller candle wicking in it, not as heavy as the previous one. And now we're just going to hit set, and now we're in the embroidery edit screen. You know you're in embroidery edit when you see the embroidery icon here at the bottom and it says edit right up here. Okay, so as you can see, this is a big block and we want this smaller. So what we're going to do first, we are going to hit that edit button and we're going to size it. And we're going to size it. We're also going to adjust the density as we resize. That's this button right up here, and hit OK. And I'm going to make it as small as I can get it, just by touching this icon with the 4 arrows pointing in towards the center. And it'll make a clicky noise and stop. So that's 4.5 by 4.5 inches. That's as small as we can size it in the machine. Now, when you're looking at this, you can see I have my 1-inch grid. Each one of these squares on the screen is 1 inch. So, for the upper left corner, I decided to put this little design element here pointing towards the center. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select rotate, and I'm going to flip it 90 degrees to the right. And now see how it's pointed here? This is what I'm after right here. Now I am going to move it like so. I can use these jog dials right here to move it. See if I hit on this. It's going to move it up there. And that's right about where I want it. But you can also move it like this with your stylus. And what I'm after, I want this little corner. Here's the very center. You see that cross, where it makes that cross right in the center of that? There's the center of the hoop right there. I want this lower right corner to fill in this 1-inch grid right here, just like this. Oops. And we'll bounce it down a little bit, and there we go. So for each block, we're going to be using the grids on this to align it up just like that. Okay, but this is just for the upper left. Now then, the next thing we have to do, now I'm going to click on OK. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different thread colors here. So I'm going to change all my thread colors by touching this icon right here. It's a spool with the 4 colors on it. And you can see it's pre-programmed for gray, slate blue, charcoal, and magenta. I don't want that. So it really doesn't matter which colors you choose, but I've just been doing all of mine in the same color on this step, just so I have continuity in my head and I don't mess it up. So I have Floriani selected, and I'm going to go down 4 screens. And I've always used this one right here. It doesn't matter what color it is. You want all these 4 colors if you're going to do it like I'm doing it in the same colorway. And this is cream yellow. And then to change the next one, I'm just going to touch it and hit the same icon, the color choice. The same icon, color choice. My last one, and the color choice. So this is how I got all my colors to be the same while I designed it on the machine. Now I have all my colors where I want it. My block is positioned where I want it. Now I'm going to hit on OK. Now I am going to touch the outline. Remember the little flower that has the outline around it? We want to touch that. And what I did with mine, just like with the center emblem last week, the angel, I'm going to, on the distance, I put this up to 0.028. I used the same number last week for the angel because what I want to do, I want to make sure the outline is actually around the outside edge of that design. And when you have a more intricate design, sometimes it'll overlap big time into it. This is what I'm using, 0.028 for the outline distance, and then touch the memory button. What this is going to do is it just sent that outline to IQ Designer. And why that's important, because the next step is to fill in the background quilting design. So I'm going to select OK. And now I want to hit the Add button. Because what we're going to do, we're going to add the quilting design next. Add. And here we want to touch IQ. And now we're going to go here to the pattern and stamp menu. It's the circle and the square together, whichever machine you have. If you have IQ Designer, it has this icon on it. It might look a little different, but you totally have it. So I'm just going to touch that once. And the first thing I'm going to do, once again, I have to select that 9.5 by 9.5 hoop. If you're using the 9.5 by 14, it'll still stitch out the same size in that hoop as well. So just so you know that. So here I want to select 9.5 by 9.5. What this is doing, it is setting the outer perimeter of the block, and that way we don't have to worry about it. So I have my outside line in there. Next, we're going to go back to the pattern menu. We're going to select the outline menu. And this one, the one that is very first in the upper left corner of this screen, you can see where I've had more today in the last couple of days. That's the one I just sent, and that's the one I want. Select OK. Now there's our outline of our embroidery file from the other screen. Next, we are going to go into the region's property menus, And we are going right here, this is settings, we're going to select that, and then this icon here, this brings up our decorative fill patterns. So next I'm going to hit select, and what I'm using is number 6, because in the previous block from last week around the angel I used the same one, and I personally chose this because it will add continuity from all the blocks. So if you're designing this yourself, you can use any of these designs in there. Just make sure you have some continuity from block to block, because that's what will really pull it all together. So I'm selecting number 6, selecting OK. And then I'm just going to hit OK. Doesn't matter here, I'll change that later. And then I'm going to select the fill bucket. And I'm going to touch in my screen in between the outline and the outer edge. And there we go. So I just added all the cross hatching in there. Pretty cool. Hold on. No, I'm looking at I just saw something move, so no, I am still fine. I'm streaming fine, everybody. So when I'm describing this, I normally will not pause or answer questions. We'll have a live question and answer after I demo how to do all the blocks. Okay, so the thing we want to do next is actually touch the next button. Okay, now here is where we can change some of the parameters of our fill. You can make the cross hatching larger or smaller. You can angle it, and you can turn the outline off or on. For these blocks, make sure that is on. Otherwise, everywhere you see a line end around the edge, it's going to have a jump stitch, and you don't want that. Trust me on this. Make sure your outline is on. Okay, then we're going to hit preview. And then OK. and there it shows our design. Now we're going to select set. Excuse me. And now we'll continue by selecting OK and go to the embroidery edit screen. And there we go. It just added our quilting around our embroidery design. Now we want to change that red. And I'm just going to select this color here. It's just white, which is close to what I am personally using. That's why I selected that. And then I'm going to select OK again. And guess what? There it is. That is that block 100% ready to stitch out. Of course, from here, you would select embroidery to go into embroidery stitch out mode. Excuse me. And I'm having a senior moment. And no, I'm not now. So, and what you want to do, it'd be a good idea if you're designing this on your machine to hit that memory button and save it either to your machine or a USB stick. If you have embroidery software that supports wireless for this machine, such as Palette 11, this is how you would send it to Palette, just by touching that, the Airways icon. That's how you send it back, send stuff back over to Palette. Okay, so I'll just cancel that because I don't need to save it. I already have. But now it's actually ready to stitch out. Pretty cool. So now we have 3 more to go. And what I was saying earlier was you just can't stitch 4 of these out because it skews the cross hatching. The first one's fine, it will match our angel block, but that's why we have to rebuild it for all 4 corners. It's not that difficult to do. We just learned how to do it here. So now what I am going to do, before I go any further though, so I left a big open area in here with no embroidery on it. If you want to add some lettering, for instance, let's just return to embroidery edit, and I'm only going to talk about this just on this one screen here. But think about this. If you wanted to add something down here, be it another embroidery design, or maybe you'd like to put a word or something in there, I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you do the add button here, and then go into your alphabet, and on the Altair we have 20 different alphabets here to pick from. That's the hardest thing to do with all of this, is choosing. So I'm just going to select one. I'm going to select number 9, and I'm just going to put my name on this one as an example. It could be anything you personally wanted if you do this. I-C-H-A-R-D. I might know my ABCs. So, and that's in the largest font. There it tells the size of it. So I'm going to set it, and there it is. And now I could pull it down here to the bottom. So many different things I could do at this point with it, but you get the idea. So, and now, since I really don't want that on there, if you play around, you can just delete that current thing because it has all these little red outlines around it. Check it out. One hit of the delete, and it will get rid of the alphabet I just put on there. So that's something you can play with to personalize it a little more. So now we're going to do block UR, the upper right. So we're going to move this design over here to this corner and rebuild everything. So I'm just going to select the home button and OK. I'm going to go back to embroidery, and I'm going to go to menu number 2, number 3, scroll down, design 21, set, there it is. And I'll show you a shortcut with this one so you don't have to, you can bypass all of this. If I had done it on the first, I didn't do it on the first one on purpose because I wanted you to see how this is done. So now I am going to size it, select adjust stitch density. That way it will recalculate the stitch density as we resize it. I'm going to resize it all the way down. And there it is. These numbers up here will always be the same every time you do it. That way they match and all that fun stuff. And now I'm going to select OK. And I want to rotate it. I'm going to go 90 to the right. And one more time. And there's my little doodad. It kind of looks like a pineapple right there. It's pointing down this way. So we're just going to move this one up here. And remember, there's the center right there of the hoop of the block. And I want to use, it's going up here, I want to use the opposite 1-inch corner right there. There we go, down just a hair, and there it is. Now, once you set your hoop up here, you don't have to reset it every time. You do have to reset the hoop size in IQ Designer every time you design something, because it automatically resets itself back to 0. So, there that is. We're done with that. Now we're going to change our thread colors again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I always select this one for this project. And I'm just going to tap on the next thread color select the same. You can do any color you want. This is just what I'm using. And then this one. And there we go. Now I'm going to select OK. Now, before I go any further, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save this. Because for the next time, I don't have to resize. So I'm going to save it to my machine. Okay. Next, I'm going to hit the outline button. We're going to go up to 0.028. Hit memory. It just sent it to IQ. Select OK. And now that outline is programmed around there. So now we are going to go to, let's see here, yes. And just so you know, it does not save that outline, so if I saved it again, you'd never see it on there, so you just have to do that step each time. So now we're going to go over here to Add, select IQ, we're going to go to the Stamps and Pattern menu, we're going to go up here to the Hoop selection, and we're going to select 9.5 by 9.5, OK. We're going to go back to the Stamp Pattern menu, select the Outline menu, and this is the next one. And OK. There it is. Now I'm going to go into my Region Fill Property Settings menu, select this third icon right there in that row, and select. And now I'm using pattern number 6, that is cross-hatching. Select OK, and OK again. Make sure my fill bucket is activated, and just tap it inside the box. And there it is. Now we'll select Next. 100%, 0, on. That's what I've done all the way through, even on the angel block. At this stage of the game, 100%, 0 angle, outline on. Preview, OK. There it is. Set, OK. Now I'm going to change that vermilion to a thread color that's going to be close to what I'm using, and select OK. And that one is now done. Now you can save it to memory, hit Embroidery Edit, and you're ready to stitch out. Or if you want to add stuff, here's where you would add some lettering or another design or whatever you'd want you could add to that. You could do it right there. Okay, let's do the return. So one thing I want to touch on real quickly, let's say we're in Embroidery Edit, and the outline, that's what I'm looking for here. Since I've already saved this, it's not going to let me do it. But Sunday, those of you that want to see how to put down an outline for floating fabric in the hoop, tune into Solaris Sunday, because the technique will work on all the machines. Okay, so that's half of the blocks. Now we're going to hit the home button and OK. So as you can see, by designing, I want everybody to at least try to do this on their own, because this is how you will build muscle memory, and it'll make it, each time you do this, it makes it easier not only for this project, but for all future projects that you're going to do as well. So, Embroidery, IQ, no, cancel. We're going to go to the machine this time, because I'm not going to go to menu 2. Since I saved my design already sized down, that would be, where would you be at? You would probably be that one right there. Yes. So there's the design that I had just saved from the previous step. And look, that is the size of it, 4.59. It doesn't matter, yours doesn't have to be exactly 4.59. That's the smallest it would go down on my machine. Just make sure these numbers are the same for each of the 4 blocks, whichever embroidery design you might use. We're going to select set. And now we're going to go up here. Look, saved all my color choices, so it does eliminate a couple of steps. Edit. We're going to rotate it. This one is going to go down in the lower right corner. This is the upper right. So we're just going to rotate it 90 degrees to the right. And now that's in the proper position. And we're just going to move it down here like so. And nope, not there. Right up here. There we go. So what happens when you get it right on those 1-inch lines, this has a red outline around it, but once you line it up perfectly right here, the red disappears and it blends into the 1-inch grid lines. But that's right where you want it. Check it out. Right there is the center of the block. So this corner fits in this 1-inch square away from the center of the block. That's exactly where we want it. We're going to click on OK. We're going to create the outline pattern. 0.028 is what we want. Right there. 0.028 memory. It just sent it to IQ, to the stamp pattern list. And now we're ready to add the quilting to this one. Hit the add button, IQ Designer, and we're going to go to the stamp pattern menu, select the hoop icon, 9.5 by 9.5, OK. Then we're going to go back to the stamp pattern menu, the outline menu. Here's our last one. It's the newest one you've saved is always right up here in the upper right corner. We're going to select that and select OK. Now you can see the outline. And then we're going to select our region fill property settings menu. Select the decorative fill pattern icon. Select. We're using number 6. OK. Select OK again. Make sure your fill bucket is turned on. And we're just going to touch right there, and there it is. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to select the next button. 100%. 0 on the angle. Outline is on. Select preview. And OK. There it is. Hit the set button and OK. And then I'm going to change the vermilion color to the white color and select OK. And now that one is ready to stitch out. If you wanted to make additions to it, you would just select the add button, select whatever you wanted. For instance, maybe you don't want lettering. Maybe you want to put something else in there. Let's select needlecraft. There's a bunch of fun stuff in here. Maybe for whatever reason you want to put a pair of scissors on that block. So let's have a look at it. Set. And then I could just move that anywhere I wanted on that block and put in a pair of scissors. I can rotate it. I can size it. I can change the color of it. Whatever you might want to do. So I'm just going to delete that because I'm not doing that. But you can do it if you want to. So that one's done. You'd want to hit the memory button and save it. And then embroidery stitch out, and it's ready to stitch. Okay, one more to go. So I'm going to select the home button to get out of here. Go back to the main screen, and I'm going to select embroidery. And the machine, because I have this little shortcut here now, select that one there. That's the one we just used in the previous step. Set. And now we are going to go to Edit and Rotate. And we're going to flip it to the right, the 90 degrees to the right, once and twice for this one. There's this little pineapple looking design is what I want towards the center of the block. And now I'm just going to move it down here. Once again. And this is how you fine-tune placement, is with these, what I call a jog dial. It's perfectly, that little tip is right there exactly 1 inch away from the center of the block to that little corner right there. Now, I'm going to hit OK because that's done. I am going to create my outline, 0.028. .028, hit the memory button, it just sent it to IQ, and now we're ready to add. And we're going to go to IQ, and we're going to go to the stamp pattern menu. We're going to select the hoop size, 9.5 by 9.5, and then OK. And then we are going to go back to the stamp menu and select our outline. Here's the one we just created and rotated. Select on OK. And now it's in there. Now we go into our region's fill properties menu and select our decorative fill menu and select number 6 and OK. And OK one more time. And then we're going to select the fill bucket icon. We're just going to touch in between our outline and the edge of the block, and there it is. Now we'll select next. Make sure, and what this refers to, this is where you can adjust, make this design larger or smaller. I'm leaving it at default for this project. 100%, angles are 0, outline on, and preview, and OK. And now we're going to select set, and OK. And next we are going to change our thread color, just because we can, and select OK one more time. I selected white, and there it is. And that is all there is to it. Select your memory and save it to your machine or a thumb drive. If you're sending it to software, select the airways and it will send it to your embroidery software for you if you want to do something else with it in that. Okay. And that's truly all there is to it. So, an important thing, some of you may be thinking, why are you turning the outline on? Because when we come to trim these blocks, we're going to use this outer outline as a seam guide. So there's a little hint as to what we have planned for the future. Okay, woohoo! So, and that's truly all there is to it.